Hey everybody, welcome to art class. Today, our inspiration for our project is going to come from outside. So you're going to have to go on a little scavenger hunt today. So you're going to want to grab a basket or a bag or a Ziploc bag or a pocket or something that you're going to be able to collect things into because we are going to be going outside and looking around for different um, types and sizes and colors of leaves. And in honor of fall, it's just newly fall now here in Florida, even though fall looks very different in other places because where I come from, fall is very different right now. It's the leaves are completely different colors all over the place, and it's getting cooler in the air. And here in Florida, stuff stays pretty green most of the year, but we can still have a lot of fun with our fall project. So, what we're going to be doing is going outside and gathering some leaves. I'm going to show you what I've gathered here from the school because I'm here at school, and I'm right outside by the right by the playground. My art room overlooks the playground, and there are so many cool leaves just in 100 feet around me. So I'm going to show you what I found and what we're going to do with it. Okay, here we go. So I went outside and I gathered a plate full of different leaves, and these were flower petals that had fallen that actually my younger son Miles picked up over last week, and I left them here on my table under something heavy to dry them out. So I'm going to be using these. So this might take you a couple days to get everything that you need together, but that's okay. What you're going to want to do is get a variety of different leaves. And it's okay if they're all green or variations of green. That's fine because it's going to work out really well on your paper. So you're going to need your leaves. And if they curl up, you may want to just put them under a heavy book for a couple days and then check them. And that way they'll be nice and flat and ready to glue down to paper. You're going to need a couple of different pieces of construction paper because you may want to make one or two different things. So a couple different colors would be good. And you're going to need a pair of scissors. Of course, you're going to need some glue and some markers if you've got Sharpie markers or if you've got Crayola markers or you've got whatever markers you've got. I've got some dollar store markers. I've got some white pens. So go digging around. It's like a little scavenger hunt, like I said. Find some fun stuff to do with this project. Once you see it, you'll understand what you're going to need for it. And it's really kind of up to you. You can use crayons too. If you're using a dark background color, you're going to want some white crayons or some white pens or gel pens or metallic pens to go on top so you can add drawing to it. I don't really know what I'm going to make just yet. I'm kind of just thinking, looking at the cool leaves that I've got, and I'm going to play around with it a little bit before I decide to glue it down. You can also cut your leaves. Okay, so I've got punchers here. These are for making different shapes in paper. And I'll just show you. This one is a 1/2 inch circle. So obviously it's going to just make a circle. Uh-oh, my paper's stuck. Ah. And so the idea is that it comes out through the other side, and I made a hole in my paper. It's like a big hole puncher. But these are great to use if you've got them or someone in your house has them. You can use it if you wanted to turn this into an animal and make that an eye. You can do that. If you've got different shapes, go ahead. By all means, this is your project and you get to do this however you'd like to. So I think what I'd like to start out doing is taking the leaves that I've got, and I'm going to just kind of put them around on the paper because I want to see how the colors work together, and I want to try to figure out if the shapes remind me of anything. Sometimes in art, what you need to do is just be with your supplies and kind of your ideas start to form and you get inspired by things that you look around at. Believe it or not, so much inspiration for projects just comes from looking around at, where you are. And so those of you that are home, take a walk around your house. Look at things in a different way though. Try to think of things from an artistic perspective, a creative perspective. Look at the patterns that are on maybe the floor or the wallpaper or the tile in your house, and look at the patterns and just try to see what you notice and observe about the patterns and the lines, because lines are everywhere. I'm not sure. I kind of like just kind of arranging things around and and seeing if anything inspires me. These are really cool. I like these. I don't know what I'm going to do with them though. See, I like this big guy, okay? And I want to use this big leaf for something. This is a really thick leaf. If I were to bend it, it would probably snap because it's like a really firm type of leaf. So go gather your things, spend some time looking at it, arranging it, moving it around, see what happens. You know what I might end up doing here is, I think I see something forming that I like. So I think what I'm going to do is move stuff off the paper just around. And I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to hold off on using him right now, because I think what I want to do is bring this one over, and I'm going to cut this a leaf a little bit into more of a circular pattern. It's okay to cut. We're going to use as much of this as we can. Okay, I'm just going to trim around. And now don't go cutting your mom's orchids or grandma's orchids. Don't cut the orchids. Jack did that once. He did it so sweetly. He pulled his great grandma's orchid out of the ground to give to her, and she was not mad. She thought it was adorable. But she had been growing it for a long time, so I kind of felt bad about that. But all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start, because I have an idea what I want to do here. I'm going to go ahead and apply my glue to my leaf. Now, because these are not paper, these may require a little bit of pressure to get down with the glue. The edges might pop up a little bit. The glue will dry clear. You just don't want to gunk it up all over the place. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, I've got these guys right here. These are fantastic because there's so many of them, and I can use them for lots of different things. So here's what I'm going to do. A couple of these at a time. I'm going to make these little glue strips, and I'm going to use, I cut these out before, or I picked them before, I should say. You can use whatever side of the leaf you like. I'm going for a pattern here. I bet you that you've got some really cool stuff outside in your backyard. I don't know how much you like to go outside. I'm not a big outside in the heat type of person, but I tell you, there's some fun stuff out there for art. Maybe what you can do is go on a walk with your family and have everybody kind of pitch in to find some fun stuff for you, for your project. And then gather your items, come home, and then figure out what you want to make. Okay. Now, for contrast, I've got these longer light green leaves. I really love these. These are so cool. And I'm going to go in between my petals here. Now, you don't have to do what I'm doing. I'm just, like, you watched me. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I'm just coming up with ideas on the spot here. 2 at a time. That one's a little short, so I want a long one. Sometimes you don't need to know right away what you're going to do. You just need to start. For me, I find sometimes if I think too much, sometimes I don't do anything because I took too long thinking. not enough creating. And while the glue is still wet, if I need to kind of move things around a little bit, I can. So I'm plucking my leaves. While you're doing this, what you're really doing too is you're making decisions. You're thinking. You got your brain turned on right now, and you are thinking and creating. Isn't that cool? You're planning your space. You're using those critical thinking skills. Is this going to work? You're exercising your spatial awareness right now. You're thinking about what space you have to create in, how things are going to fit, if they're going to fit. Oh man, I can't wait to see what you guys make. I know some of you who have been faithfully doing art all these weeks. I know that you guys are going to put 1,000% into this, and I cannot wait to see what you make. When it's all dry, so let it kind of sit overnight, or if you're doing this in the morning, by the end of the day it should be dry. When it's all dry, you can use markers to give it some more. Look at this. This is so cool. It's just leaves on my paper. I want to use that for something. Maybe like that. Anyway, as I was saying, the markers can give some extra detail. Like maybe in my center here, I want to do something with pattern in my marker. See how this is kind of popping up? Well, I'm just kind of using my finger to go back over it. Be careful if your finger gets too sticky, it'll stick to the leaf or the flower and it might pull it up and rip it. So just be careful. If you've got a tweezer that you're allowed to use at home, ask permission, but see if you can, that might be helpful. You don't want to overdo the glue, guys, okay? The glue, too much glue is going to make it wet and gunky. A little goes a long way. You can always add more. That guy does not want to stay down for me, but that's okay. I'm going to add a little bit more glue. And then at the very, very end of this, possibly, when it's all dry, I could put contact paper over it and make it into like a placemat. Maybe something like that. This kind of looks like a heart, so I think what I'm going to do is trim this down. And it kind of represents love. Miles found this for me. He gave it to me. Symbols are a big thing in art too. Using my scissor to press gently so I don't use my finger because my finger gets stuck in the glue. What do you think so far? Looking pretty cool. And then what I might want to do is just around, I may want to add some other, I don't know, some other leaves or I like those. Take your time. You've got a week or more. If you have to stop and come back to it, that's okay. Just pick up where you left off. If you're fortunate enough to have an art area where you can do art and nobody will interrupt your work, that is awesome. And that means that you can kind of come back to your work when you're ready. And that's a blessing to have that. That kind of space where nobody will interrupt your stuff or you don't have to clean up for dinner. I get involved in my kitchen table and then I have to clean it all up for dinner. So it gets frustrating sometimes. Because once I get into it, I don't want to move it. That's why I'm so glad to have an art room here at school. I love this room. 2 more leaves for this section over here, for this part of my art. Okay. You can use your scissor to trim things if you have to, like little branches or like little stems that need to come off. You can trim that down. If you've got a Q-tip, you can use that to pick up any extra glue that may be squashed around. Pretty cool. I'm liking that a lot. What do you guys think? Do you like it? I think it's coming out really good. Okay, so now I want to see what you guys make. Okay? Get to work. Show me what you did. Send it to my email or post it on Seesaw or your Schoology site or your Google Classroom, however you want to send it to me. Just kind of push yourselves to go outside and find some fun stuff out there. If you find some cool thin twigs that you want to incorporate into this, that's fine too. If you've got cardboard you'd rather work on or cardstock, those are fine too. Those are great bases for this project, okay? Construction paper will do just fine, but if you've got something a little heavier and thicker, you can, sky's the limit, whatever you want to do with this, okay? I just can't wait to see what you make. Get out there and get creative. See you soon.